So another bright sunny day. I really need to get some sunglasses. Just starting to crack on, carry on with the last video with getting the plane ready. Done some weeding, so cleared all the weeds, so I made it all look snazzy. I've just jet washed, cleaned up the hot tub, been cleaning up the jet wash bits and pieces. Plane does need a blast, a bit of a clean still. Just sorting out, painted the floor in there, just stop that going to rotten with any water which leaks on it. Get the hot tub back in there, I'll set that back up. That all seems to work fine, which is awesome. Just clearing up bits, and then I've been up on top of the plane. I've taken a little warning down, climbed right on top. I put some photos in. I didn't want to film up there, a bit sketchy, might fall down. It's one of the, a bit dark. One of the things I didn't do when we were filming the conversion was sort out sort of ventilation, sort of hidden bits behind the scenes which weren't particularly interesting for the TV show. So I've put in 100mm vent pipe with like a mushroom vent. I've dropped the photo in on top of the plane because the plane needs some ventilation, get some air flowing through it, especially if people use the shower, etc. And luckily there was a nice hole already bored into the top of the plane, I assume for some sort of instrument which sat on it previously. I found nice little pipe adapters which fitted straight through the hole, sealed them in, and I'll put the extractor fan, so it's just a Ventaxia fan, that'll be mounted on the back of here, and it'll sort of sit like that and just give us a bit of extraction. There'll be a few more, probably a couple at the back and probably one at the front as well, just to get a good airflow through. Got the heat pump to go in, I'll probably do that in a second. And yeah, just really just tidying up, sorting out and ticking off the list of bits which weren't done as part of the show, and just tidying up bits from sort of winter, I suppose, which has been a bit weathered, and yeah, give it a good clean, get the hot tub in, and yeah, might be time for a beer in the sun in the jet engine hot tub. But again, I'll crack on. In fact, I'll show you the toilet. I started the plumbing, and I have no idea if it's interesting to anyone, but I'll do a little video on it. So the toilet, this is where, when it's on the ground, they plug in and suck the crap out, essentially, I assume. Luckily it's about 110mm, which is the waste pipe size, so I've got a rubber seal around that, and that fits on nicely. There's a water inlet which I'm going to try and use for the flush system. So I have a solenoid valve which will flush water through, and then that's quite nice and easy to keep water consumption to a minimal and hopefully get the toilet working as it should. But again, I'll vlog that as I start to strip it out and work it out in due course. So hot tub is now on, back in business. I have got to do the ladder because that's not fixed to anything. So for the TV show, just stuck there to look cool. So I need to make some little brackets down the bottom on the top, get that secure. But I've cleaned it out, dropped the chlorine chemicals in, all that stuff. So hot tub is back on, it's looking cool. Obviously the sun is out today. It's going to look awesome once it's all done, sorted out. But time to crack on with the loo. That's my next project. So another day. It's quite overcast today, which is actually quite nice. It's not so hot working. I am cracking on with project plane toilet and other bits and pieces. So as I showed you before, I've tidied it all up. Hot tub's all sorted, that's all working. I've moved the air conditioning heating system vents for the hot and cold out via where the landing gear used to be. So I'll mount all that nicely, trim these off, and then as I showed previously, I'm just starting to work out the loo. So I've got soil pipe, and it's obviously going to come out there. I think originally I said I was going to try and use the original flush valve inlet, but that's going to prove tricky because connectors for that cost an absolute fortune, obviously with everything on a plane. But yeah, piping I'm kind of sorting, and then I'm just working out a very butchered system to make this loo flush and function again, so I'll show you what I've done so far. We'll try to work out. I've turned the power off for a bit, so it's a bit dark, so I'll put a head torch on. It's probably going to flicker, I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit. So I've run a hose pipe in here to test it with water, and what I've done thus far, I've got 25ml water which goes down to the hold, so that would be the water inlet for the toilet, and obviously the sink as well, which I'll do shortly. I've hooked up a hose just to test it currently. Obviously I've stripped it all back, cleaned the pan a bit, very corroded, needs a good scrub still for some Viacal. But basically the port over there is what goes to the outside where the water inlet is to flush it, and that flushes the entire tank. So obviously originally when you use the loo, it stores it in the tank. When you bland, they pull the lever and it lets the contents out, and they pump it through with fresh water to clean it out. So what I'm going to try and do is feed it with fresh water to the tank cleaning and the flush, all off a push button solenoid valve. So originally it was like that. It has a mechanical and electrical sort of flush system which times it, so I can time how much water runs through the flush. But all I want to do currently, I'm going to move that pipe, is I've hooked up, you can sort of see this without getting the camera in the way, hose pipe to the back of the flush. So originally there's a motor in there, sort of see that. There's a pump which pumps water from the tank into the flush system, but I'm not going to use that, so I've taken it off this Jubilee clip. That goes straight into the back of the cistern. It should run water all the way around the pan and flush it down into the tank in theory. I've no idea that works, so I've hooked up the hose pipe with a valve. I'm just going to pump water through, test it, and then obviously see if the release works the other end. So there's a handle on the outside of the plane which pulls this lever, and then that pulls up a valve at the bottom of the tank and empties the tank, in theory. So what I'm going to do is pump a bit of water around it, see if it flushes as such, and then see if it empties out the back. If that all works, it should be quite straightforward to make the plain loo work again. So that's the grand plan. So with the toilet, I was just pondering, would I be able to find any details on the internet about a loo from a 56-year-old 737. Turns out obviously with everything else you can find anything you want on the internet. I actually found this on WikiLeaks. It's the complete maintenance manual for a 737-200, which has everything on, like how to fix it, the wiring. I mean, it's absolutely colossal manual. It's got the flush system, but nicely it does have, scroll back up, the sort of details of the loo, the system, how it works, etc, etc. I think it's got, yeah, like the flush, the whole lot. So that might make life slightly easier. But I'm going to go strip the cover off the loo, etc, and then start working it out now. Alright, so I've turned the water on. It's not pissed out everywhere yet. So if I put a little valve on the hose pipe just to test it. It's leaking a bit, so I'll try and, oh crikey, always too, I don't want to flood the plane. But if I turn the valve, I've not put it on full blast because the water pressure is really high, which is good. It should flush the loo as such, so we'll just give it a little test. It looks like it's working. It looks like some of the little outlets are probably a bit blocked still, so it needs to be a good scrub. It will definitely flush, definitely works. Let's try emptying it outside, give that a go. And hopefully when I pull the lever, it'll open the valve and dump the content, dump the water out, and then in theory the toilet should work quite well. So let's just turn the water off because I'm paranoid about flooding the plane accidentally. off. So in theory, move my waste pipe. When you pull this lever, it opens the valve in the tank and water should flood out. So it's definitely making a noise. Yep, that clearly works quite well. So I shall crack on with the controls, the valves, bits and pieces, and see if we can automate the loo working by pushing a button, and we'll go from there. Before anyone asks, that's not what the loo will look like when it's finished, obviously. This is the surround from the original toilet, the original loo sink, etc. It's fiberglass, so quite easy to sort of do up. I'll fill in these little gaps, all your fiberglass then, give it a sand, then I'll probably coat it in a nice bright white, clean, sort of 2K paint, and then I'll do the same in the toilet and recoat sort of the work surfaces, bits and pieces, and it all look very clean and tidy. Anyway, that's the plan, so I shall update shortly. So I think I've got a working solution for the plain loo flush. Loads of fittings and playing around with all sorts of bits and pieces. One annoying thing was that the plane, as it's built in America, uses the American pipe fitting system, not BSP like in the UK, so I think it's NTP. So I had to order adapters to fit onto the original fittings, but that's quite easy. So I use 25mm mains water pipe coming in to the plane, and it's going to go through all this. So I've got a 12-volt solenoid valve and a push button switch, which will activate a little timer circuit. So every time you press the switch, it'll run water through via the valve for a set period of time to flush the loo, in theory. That's the idea. I've sort of laid out how I'm going to do it. Got a manual valve as well, so if you want to manually flush the loo from the plane hold for maintenance or whatever, I can do that. Put it in a box with a transformer, because that's 12 volt. So it's all low voltage, all safe. And I'm going to wire that up, plumb all this together, mount it on a board, and then feed it up to the plane loo, and hopefully that'll be a solution to make the plane flush. So we shall see if it works in due course. Right, so I'm in the avionics bay. All the avionics have been taken out, obviously, and see, there's all the aircon stuff I put in. I'm going to put the distribution board for power, etc. in here. It's sort of directly under the plane. There's a hatch which goes outside, which is where I'm running the water, power, internet, etc. in. But I think I've sort of hooked up the loo and to test it. I've built a little box with the 12 volt transformer, the timer circuit in there, powered that on. That's rigged up over here, and sort of see it, to a solenoid valve, and then I've rigged it up to a 25mm water main coming in. Loads to do under here, but you can see sort of over there the blue pipe that goes up to the loo, along with a cable for the push button. So I'll whiz back upstairs. So back up in the main cabin, in theory I can flush the loo now. It should just shoot outside the plane. So we'll try it out. It's either going to work or it's going to piss out everywhere and leak. That's kind of unknown. So again, I've cleaned the bowl in a good scrub. The release valve to let everything out of the tank is constantly on now, so it should just dump out the side of the plane. I've rigged up, that's the water feed coming up from below, runs round in this pipe, and then I've rigged it onto the back of the original flush. So in theory, should flush the loo. That's the cable I've run, oh you can't see it, from down in the hold, and it's just a push button which goes to the timer circuit. I'll mount that up nicely on there in due course, but for now, in theory, push the button and the toilet will flush. Nice. Spot on. So it flushes for a set period of time. Oh, it's come back out, which was the idea. I can adjust that. I can work out the amount of water it's using and the flow rate, etc. But that should work absolutely fine. And yeah, means that's one headache solved. So it was going to be a challenge if I couldn't get the loo working. I'll update again shortly as we move on to the next few bits and pieces to complete, before I can open. And talking about opening, there is a huge amount of people waiting now to come and book it. I had a lot more press. I dropped in some links, bits and pieces recently, and yeah, it's getting quite exciting. So it's really time to smash out all the bits and pieces, get the waste treatment plant in, which we started. You can see the digger over there. We're just going to start clearing up, moving some of this kit. I'm going to put the tank over there and yeah, make it look cool. But I shall update again shortly. Very quick last little update. Another weekend just gone, been cracking on with the plane. I've moved, open the door, the stairs. So I've got a ladder to get in at the moment. The stairs are around the corner, so I'm going to paint, refurbish them. You can probably see them out there, just moved them out of the way for now. Most of the plumbing is sorted now, so we're getting there. I've got running water and drainage for the kitchen sink, shower, that's all plumbed in, but I haven't finished actually wiring it in to test it out. Loo, I've got a light in the loo now. Sink is plumbed in and working for drainage. Haven't plumbed in the taps yet, but it doesn't seem too complicated. It's sort of just plumbed in down there, so there's a bit of plumbing to play around with. Loo, I think it's all working. Yeah, flush those, nice. Super powerful flush. I think we might reduce the amount of time it flushes, but it's working for now. I'll shoot downstairs, just showing the avionics bay, sort of the plumbing bits and pieces, and yeah, I shall update again shortly. So down in the avionics bay under the plane, where I'm doing all the wiring and plumbing, so it's all hidden away. I think I showed before. So sort of toilet flush systems over here. Currently the plane's just running off the extension lead down under the ground. I fill this hole eventually once all the service is in, but it's going to be embarrassing for any plumbers out there. My sort of Frankenstein type of plumbing, which sort of goes to the sink over there, the loo sort of behind there, that's the shower. We've got the aircon sort of drip feed sort of thing going there. But I've just used bits I've had sort of kicking around from other builds, stuff left over really, so I haven't had to go and buy a lot of kit or pipe. I think I've glued all these. At the moment just obviously shoots out the side, but that'll go down to the waste treatment plant shortly, once that's wired it, plumbed in rather. But heating, aircon works, kitchen sink, shower, loo almost works, so I've just got all the wiring. You can see tons of wires, Ethernet mains, there's HDMI leads for the TVs, etc. So still a fair bit to do upstairs, but I'm sort of on track. I reckon another month's work over August, and when I've got holiday sort of time off to chill, crack on with the plane, and I'll get it all done and ready. And yeah, I shall update again ASAP.